So hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, and this is our podcast. It is not live. I want to say that again. It is not live. What? It is not live because I know sometimes people say, hey, thinking we're live and we're not. This is pre-recorded, but we still pop in the comment section nevertheless, just to kind of join in every once in a while. So thank you for being here. The purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. With that being said, today we are going to talk about two topics. One was of a police officer who was running for mayor in Missouri City, Texas. And, she kind of was extra mad at her boyfriend, for lack of better words, but I'll show y'all the video. Then we're also going to talk about a man who was getting a divorce, but he did not want to be in a divorce. And he did something really unconventional to get his wife's attention. And then, of course, we're going to play our game, tonight's conversation, date night edition, where we ask questions and we answer the questions. I looked at them briefly, so I forgot what they are even at this point. So Donovan, what say you before we get into it?
Hey, you guys, welcome again. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Welcome to the Demetra K podcast. So glad to have you. Do us a favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Even become a member, because as things are coming up, reparations talk is going to state to state to state. They are forming boards to see how Black people could get their money, which is a good start, because we are owed minimum $17 trillion. So if they say $100,000 to each Black person that could prove that could trace their thing back to slavery, that's a good start, good down payment. And then yearly we should do something. So keep the talk with the reparations talk going on. But do us a favor, if you guys can, please hit the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, P.O. Box. Demetra takes checks as well. It takes a little money to keep a show going on. But this is going to be a really, really critical topic, because we always talk about domestic violence, and domestic violence within our community especially is rampant. And it's so rampant that they make actual movies in Hollywood depicting domestic violence issues within the Black community. And it's really in all communities. But we're talking specifically today about what goes on in our community. So let's get into this. It's a very important topic. Let's see who the perpetrators actually are.
So anyway, y'all, forgive me if I seem to be pixeling a little bit. Y'all know how it goes down in Houston, raggedy Houston's internet. So anyway, we're going to get on with it. The first story we're going to talk about is that of Robin Williams, not the Robin Williams, but another Robin Williams, 32-year-old police officer in Missouri City, Texas. She was mad at her boyfriend, and this happened. Check it out.
Mayor is arrested for allegedly assaulting and using a taser on her boyfriend.
32-year-old Robin Williams announced she was running for mayor back in December.
Anayeli Ruiz joins us live outside the Missouri City Police Department, where Williams works with the latest tonight. Anayeli.
Well, the victim called 911 on December 31st, and 10 days later, Williams was arrested right here at the Missouri City Police Department. Robin Williams took an oath to protect and serve, and now this Missouri City police officer,
this case is assigned to the 179th District Court,
is on the other side of the law for assault continuous family violence.
We have filed for a protective order in this case.
Court documents state on December 31st, her live-in boyfriend called police to report Williams had punched him in the mouth, causing him to bleed, and a scratch on his lip. But according to documents, this was not the first time. The victim showed deputies video of Williams while wearing a Missouri City Police Department shirt, hit him with her police-issued baton, and even threatening to kill him for breaking her phone. This was back in August. The documents say he told investigators that same month she used her police-issued taser on him. Investigators say Williams' department-issued taser is missing the original cartridge issued. She never reported a discharge from her taser to the department. Victim advocates want to encourage people who may be victims of domestic violence to call immediately to get the help they need.
Domestic violence is common. It happens every day. It can happen to anyone, regardless of gender, race, social, economic status, and regardless of whether you're a male or a female.
They want to remind all victims, men or women, not to feel ashamed.
Any type of domestic or sexual abuse, to reach out to us.
Donovan.
Did she say women of domestic violence need to reach out? Is that what that last
She said no, she said men and women.
Okay, men and women. Got it. I just caught the last part. But see, that's my point. We only hear what we want to hear in some aspects, because if we're biased, whatever, and I'm very biased when it comes to men. But the funny thing in the report I wrote down, I took notes because you guys noticed, one of the great things about this show is Demetra and we both take notes in what we're hearing and what we're saying. So, and it's used against us in a court of law. No, but so here's what I noticed. She's a police officer, a sworn police officer, number one, sworn to protect the Constitution of the United States. That means she is sworn to protect your rights. Here's a lady who took a fidelity oath that says that she reported this incident 10 days later. She was arrested 10 days later. Now, if you and I had done that, we would have been arrested that day. Am I correct? I believe I am. The person that was assaulted was punched in the mouth and had a bleeding lip. From the pictures we saw, it looks like not only is she a police member, looks like she's an Army reservist or something, because she was in some kind of military garb. And for those that don't know, a lot of your police departments are funded personnel-wise with ex-military members. There's a big rash of military members that go into the military and they become security forces, or they become law enforcement within the military, which makes it easier for them to get a job when at a city when they go back, because they got that type of training. She discharged her firearm and did not report it. When a police officer discharges their firearm, use their baton, or use any of their issued equipment, that must be reported in their report. Now, because it was a domestic incident, maybe she thought she didn't need to report that, but you're only given so many cartridges and stuff, and that's got to be accounted for. So again, we have a person who has taken the fact that she is a police officer. I don't know what it is about that badge. I don't know what it is about city council seats where you have the power to arrest or make decisions for other people, but they think that they're above the law. And I think in this situation, I am thankful and glad that the victim, being a man, did not go ham and possibly lost his life because she had a gun, and call the police, which was the right thing to do. But I still have to question why it took 10 days to arrest this woman. Remember, whenever a police officer does something, they're blue before they're anything else.
Absolutely. And y'all forgive me, I'm sweating. It's kind of warm here in Houston, and my face is a little bit red. Sometimes I get flushed, if you will. So hopefully it'll go away. Y'all see how it's like almost like hives? It's kind of weird, but anyway, never mind me. So yes, Robin Williams, 32 years old, of Missouri City, Texas, which is not that far from Houston, for what I imagine. I've been there once or twice accidentally, I'm sure. But she was also running for mayor. Did y'all get that? It sounds like she still is to some degree running for mayor, because it said that her campaign did not come back with a comment of what happened. So I don't know if she'll be successful running for mayor. But anyway, yeah, she beat her boyfriend up, for lack of better words. Sounds like maybe he reported. I'm kind of confused on that, but eventually it got reported or whatever. And she was released on $15,000 bond eventually. Like Donovan said, anytime, and I'm speaking about my pay grade, but in the military or police force, you have to, clear ballistics or whatever, report it. And that taser was missing a cartridge, which would verify that, yeah, because he said she tased him. It's like, what the? Let me just take a commercial break here. I understand in relationships, people, it gets kind of wild. I get it. But taser, I'm sorry, you tase me, I'm out of it. Like, you ain't going to be able to tase me again. I've never been tased before, but I'd imagine it hurts. But anyway, okay. So she did all of that to him, beat him up, tased him, and all of that. Sounds like she has an anger management issue or a lack of coping skills issue or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because it's like you put your hands on people instead of having a conversation. Hey, I don't like whatever, this, that, and the other. Sounds like it was over a cell phone to some degree. I don't know. But to put your hands on people, it's crazy. And I, for the life of me, do not understand people who think it's all right to do that. Now, I will say this. One of my younger family members who is a man has experienced domestic violence with his wife, his soon-to-be ex-wife, I'll say that, where I've had to go and retrieve him a few times after she has put her hands on him, you know, pretty violent, and she would make excuses. Oh, well, you know, it's this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not here to litigate, argue, none of that as to why you did it. I'm just here to help my nephew collect his things, and then we'll be out your way. And so I've had to have these conversations with my nephew and tell him, listen, don't buy into that because you're a man, because she's also told him that, oh, it didn't hurt. You're a man. You're okay type of thing. I'm like, no, it's not okay that you're a man and that somebody, your wife at the time, should put her hands on you. You take it because you're a man. That's not how it works. I said, because as men, when y'all hear that, y'all also hear the other part, well, suck it up. What are you, soft? It's not a big deal. Men don't call the police. Men don't, complain about that stuff. Like, no, you do. Because imagine if you did half of the things to her that she did to you, you would be under the jail. And it also gives that person a pass, that woman in this case, to keep doing it. Now, it sounds like with this lady, Officer Williams, that she had a history of abuse. I don't know, potentially it came to a head and now she's in trouble. But I'm telling you, men, do not think because you're a man that you should allow a woman to put her hands on you. As I always say, you always know I said, put the white man on her. Like she put the white man on you, she putting her hands on you. You know what I mean? Like she ain't above the law. And the other thing, like I told my nephew, it wasn't like he was like beat up or, he's like, oh, nothing like that. But I said, it's okay to say I am a domestic violence, victim. It's okay to say that because you're a man. It's okay for you to say that. I say, because when you own it, then you know how to move past it. But to continue to deny that, no, whatever, not that he was, then you don't do yourself any justice, and she continues to get away with it. So that's crazy.
Yeah, the funny thing is too, we have this guy in Congress from New York. That name is George Santos. They don't even know if that's his real name. They're finding some more stuff on that guy. The guy is obviously a pathological liar like Donald Trump. He just lies. I mean, they're finding all kinds of stuff on this guy. But even with that information in our politics today, before, if you were running for political office and something like this came up, you were done. In today's society, even this will not stop a person from getting into office and electing and being elected, possibly being elected. So it's just a sad commentary that we have today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a firm believer that nobody should be putting their hands on nobody, no matter what the reason is, without the other person's permission. And and it's so sad today that with everybody wanting to be equal and this that. Okay, fine. But if we're going to be equal, do it across the board. And unfortunately, you have people that are manipulating the system because they're police officers. I'm very sure her police officer friends tried to cover for her, tried to bury the story and stuff. So big ups to whoever brought the story out. But also, when you're dealing with a police officer, I'm not saying police officers are dangerous, unless you're a black man walking in a neighborhood, that whatever. So it's dangerous for us. But this person is authorized to take a life. All I got to do is say, I feared for my life. So brothers, if you're dating, and sisters, whatever, if you're dating a police officer, keep that in the back of your mind, that all they got to do is, I feared for my life, and they can take you out of here at any point. But hopefully that this is just an incident that probably went awry with this young lady. And to fight over a cell phone, I don't know how serious that is, but we really got to get a hold of our emotions when it comes to relationships and dealing with somebody else. Also, the person that she was assaulting, allegedly, was her boyfriend. Demetra, how many times have I said, if you're not married, you're not married. But if you're going to act like you're married, these are the problems when you're acting like you're married and you're playing house. These are the problems. So,
yeah, it is a problem. And I don't know if it was a one-off for her. And I don't want to give her that out that, oh, it just, it was a fluke. It was, something that wouldn't. Is my microphone all right, y'all? Is it making any noise at all? It's good. Okay. I don't want to give her that out like, oh, it's not normally her type of thing, because we wouldn't give a man that, right? We wouldn't give a man that same out if he was like, oh, I don't normally act like this. It was, just having a bad day and I just dotted you in your eye real quick, So we wouldn't. So I tend to think people who put their hands on people, I think they lack coping skills. I think they lack the ability, well, just call it what it is, emotional intelligence. I think they lack the ability to talk through things in their mind. Like, okay, I really want to punch all of their teeth out. I really want to. However, what's it going to cost me if I do that? For one, it's going to cost me the relationship if the person is smart and not allow me to beat them up. Two, it's going to cost me my freedom. I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm freezing up, but I think y'all can still hear me. Two, it's going to cost me my freedom, because there's probably a pretty good chance I'm going to go to jail. Three, it's going to cost me something in the future, whether it's a job, the mayoralship, or anything else I want to do, because guess what? That's on my record. And anytime I want to, and most of the time nowadays, you apply for a job that's pretty up there, even no matter what it is, right? Nowadays, they'll say, have you ever been charged with this or that, a felony, a misdemeanor, whatever? Do you have anything pending right now, a court case, whatever? And if you have to say yes, right? So now that employer, and I'm not talking about no low level stuff. Two, I'm talking about even higher up governmental offices. You'll have to answer yes to that. And so that person who's going to look at your application will say, domestic violence? Oh, okay. Well, we can't have nobody like that working here, because what that tells me is they don't have a good command of their emotions. And when they get mad, they like to get physical. So we don't want that. That's a risk, right? So those are the things that needs to be answered to when you have to ask yourself, when you want to pop off and do something to somebody, what is it going to cost me? Is it going to cost me some money because I got to fight this in the system? I got to bail out. I got to, maybe go through all these classes and I ain't free. I got to pay for anger. Man, there's a lot it's going to cost me. So I tend to think people who put their hands on people, the other thing is they feel entitled. Well, I'm not getting my way with you. You're not listening for whatever reason. So I'm going to take it by force. I'm going to make you do whatever it is. I'm going to get my way with you, even if I got to be physical with you. Now, as far as her and her mayoral, whatever it is that she's trying to pursue.
Aspirations, yeah.
Her team, I'm in public relations, and I was thinking about it as you were speaking. How would they be able to spin it? Well, she's had a stellar record. She's never had any issues with the law. Obviously, she's a police officer. She was having a bad day or whatever, and she's now going to be taking a whole lot of classes. And in fact, she's going to do some public service announcements and speak up on behalf of not just women who are battered, but men as well. And we want to put her on the right path. And in fact, it's very courageous of her to finally own up to what she did, right? So that's probably where they'll go with it, because I tend to think people like her are very narcissistic and kind of off to where it's like, oh, I could do that to somebody and still run for mayor. I don't see what the problem is, right? So there's a lot going on, but I'm gonna just keep repeating this, y'all. Do not stay with somebody that puts their hands on you. And let me say this, because I never share this kind of stuff, and I want to be transparent with y'all. I'm telling y'all the truth, okay? Most of the relationships, that's why and me and Donovan talked about this after the show on Sunday, when you were asking the question of, why is it that a lot of women say, oh, a man has been abusive to them or he's narcissistic? And I said, well, because we don't know people's experiences. Most of the relationships that I was in, not all, I had hands put on me. Now, I want to clarify this, okay? It was never no total ass whooping. I just want to let the record reflect. And I'm not no shame to anybody. I'm not saying that to shame anybody. Like, how did you let him just put his hands all up? I'm telling y'all, me. It was always, you gonna put your hands on me, okay, I'm gonna put my hands back on you type of thing. Of course, this is when I was younger. But yes, so I've had that happen to me where a person put their hands on me because they couldn't get their way or whatever they might have been going through. They thought that was the optimal thing. Did not stay in those relationships too long. Most of that happened when I was in my 20s and my 30s. And so I just tell people, don't put up with that, because there's no reason for a person to do that. They don't love you. They don't even love themselves, that they do that to you. If they feel like they have to communicate with you by putting their hands on you, that they need help and you need to go. So I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I just want to add before we go re-segment into the next segment. This woman's a police officer. And to me, if she does, after all the training and tax dollars that we pay and training these guys how to de-escalate and stuff, if she can't do that, I believe police officers should be released, because that shows if you're doing that to the person you supposedly love or live with or whatever, what are you doing out there in the streets to people you don't know? So if it was up to me, and I'm a police officer, which I'm not, but I was in the military, and you're out there patrolling in Afghanistan and you assault a fellow military member or somebody that is within your family circle, I'm not putting you on the streets. You have to go. I mean, because I don't know what you're doing out there. So, isn't it funny how they're not talking about her actually being removed or whatever? I'm sorry. This woman has a gun. She's authorized to walk around and has the authority to take somebody's freedom. When you do domestic violence within your home as a police officer, my opinion, not Demetra's, this is my opinion, you should be let off of the force, because obviously there is a disconnect there. I don't know what you're doing at your home. God forbid knows what you're doing out there on the streets.
Absolutely. And I should also say that domestic violence is high among police officers, in that they tend to, not only be roughnecks on the street, but they go home and they abuse their spouses. I don't want to say necessarily wives, even though it's probably higher on that side, because it's probably more men on the force than women. But it's a known fact that police officers, domestic violence among them at home is very high. It should also be said that, with Robin Williams, the woman in this case, and any police officer, they know that they are protected by that blue wall of violence. Okay, the blue wall of silence. They know that they have protection, in that a lot of times we've heard battered spouses of police officers say, well, I was told that if I, complained, then I would, something would happen to me, or I wouldn't be believed because those are their brothers or their sisters in the force. And, so they just felt like they had no recourse. Like, well, I'm going to tell. That's like me going to tell his mama that he did something to me. She's more than likely going to say, my Johnny, he's just, he means well. It's kind of like the same thing, right? So a lot of times police officers know that they have protection. I can do whatever I want. And to your point too, Donovan, yeah, if she threw that to her man who she's supposed to love and all that, what is she doing to people out on the streets? I guarantee you there's probably going to be people that come forward and say, well, damn, about time. He ain't the only one. When she pulled me over or this, that, and the other, she did something to me too. So it would not be surprising if that's how she is. But the other thing too is, I don't know, 32 years old sounds kind of young for you to have all of that going on. And that kind of goes to, and I'm just going to put this on out there. I'm surprised Donovan didn't. Mama beat him to it. that kind of goes to, not that you, maybe I shouldn't say it because I don't want to minimize it, but whenever I hear a woman beating up a man or all up in his face and all that, I do sense masculine. I sense a lot of testosterone there, if you will, you know, even because I'm
that is smart. A man. That is a man.
Yeah, I'm smart. And I'm also smart enough to know that as smart as I think I am, I ain't never, I was probably going to be a cold day in hell before I physically whoop a man. You know what I mean? By my hands and all that, I probably could pick up a frying pan or, you know, catch him off guard. But as far as going, you know, fist to cuffs with him, yeah, I'm probably not going to win that. So for me, when I see women act in that manner, I'm like, girl, what was you on? You had a little too much, you know, energy, workout stuff, you know, like pre-workout, like what's going on here, you know? So just as we said here, we're going to reiterate, do not stay in a relationship with somebody who is going to be physically abusive to you and hell, verbally abusive. Verbally abusive, some people argue it's just as bad. I don't know. I tend to think they're about the same because they just are. Abuse is abuse. Although physical abuse, I guess, hurts physically and verbal hurts, you know, emotionally. And I guess some both, you know, either way, I don't know. But don't put up with that. That's not love. You know, Donovan and I was talking about this the other day. Why people stay. People stay for a whole lot of reasons. But I always ask people, ask yourself, have you ever been beaten up, whether it's on the schoolyard or anywhere, or you got a switch taken to you, a belt? Did you like that? No, I didn't like that. In fact, I hated it. So the point that I'm making to that is who stays, somebody who stays in a domestic violence situation if there's not other stuff attached to it. And a lot of the time is manipulation. It's emotional. Oh, he said he loved me, and he just does it because he loves me, or she does it because she had a bad day, or whatever it is. Like there's reasons behind it. In a lot of cases, if you leave me, you know I'm gonna do something to you. I'm gonna do something to your family. Or sometimes people, the spouse, they don't have anywhere else to go. They don't have any reason. So there's a lot of reasons why people stay. It's not like, well, unless they're just sadomasochists or something. It feels good, I'm gonna stay. You know, so it's rarely that. It's usually something else attached to it. So I hope that helps. Donovan, you have any other things to say about this one?
No, I just hope, like I said, she gets an evaluation and I'm just terrified when a police officer gets to stay on the police force when they have showed domestic violence within their own home. I honestly believe they should be fired immediately on the spot. You know, buy them out, give them their benefit, whatever, do something, but they should not be legally held to have a gun.
Yeah, I think, aren't they investigating it now, if I'm not mistaken? But it's like, what's to investigate? I mean, you know, he said he put hands on her, or she put hands on him and then tased the man. Like, golly, what does she need to do? Like, put a bullet in me? Like, what? You know? So anyway, y'all, let's get to this other one. Now, this one is a doozy, okay? Y'all might have seen it kind of started the trend. This took place in South Central Los Angeles on 107th and Normandy Avenue, to be exact. Actually, not too far where my father owned the shop back in the day. Anyway, there's a man, we'll call him Mr. Dunn. He was getting a divorce, and I guess he did not want to be divorced from his wife, Patricia. So he took his dump truck down to Patricia's residence, and the following happened.
Back up! Dad, get over here! What the fuck? What is he doing? Oh! Dad, get over here! Dad! Hey, look, oh my God. Dad, get over here. Look, come on. Oh, he's a rocket launch. Are you kidding? Why over there? Get helicopter. Call the police. We need them right now. Hold them right now. Come on. I gotta get a little pistol right quick, just in case I can fire. Dad, I got this. Stop! Oh my God! Stop! Just send somebody. He's driving a white truck down the street. He lost his last week. Hey, this guy, he lost his mind. He is headed east on 107.
So, as you saw there was a very angry individual who is in a very, I guess, heated divorce. Doesn't sound like he wants to be divorced from his wife. Needless to say, y'all saw him run his dump truck into what was her bedroom part of the house. Obviously, Patricia is her name. She was very freaked out. She says she is afraid for her life. She is now going to get a restraining order, as that would be pretty scary, right? It's also said that it took about 30 minutes for the police to come. And from what I understand, it sounds like he came back in a car. As you also saw, not only did he tear her house up, but he tore some cars up and, just kind of had his way on the street. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. That one sister that was in the bathroom, she was pissing me off because they kept telling her, get back, move. And it's like, what you going to do, ma'am? What are you going to do? Like, move, anyway, that's kind of what I saw. It kind of made me mad because it's like, you don't know what kind of fool this is. You know what I mean? So anyway, she's looking to get a restraining order. I hope it's successful. But I would say this, there's a lot of times people get restraining orders and it doesn't work. Like, is a piece of paper going to stop him from doing what he's going to do or whatever? Now, I don't know if he was arrested. I don't know. I would imagine he would have. I didn't get that into that. But yeah, Donovan, what say you?
Well, first of all, I want to say that looks like either 52nd, 50th Street or 73rd Street. And I have relatives in that area. I just immediately flashed back to 73rd Street. Those houses, the way they're built like that, because all the streets are the same if you're from that. And it's a small area. But 30 minutes for the police to arrive, that's pretty good. That's pretty good in LA. I mean, if you guys haven't been, here in California, a 30-minute response time is very good because they prioritize their actions. Oh, he's just driving a truck into a house and cars. Okay, we'll get there when we can get there. As long as nobody's getting murdered, they're not going to make a jam-packed area. But then you got to remember, if you're not from Los Angeles, is it a black neighborhood? Okay, well, don't worry about it. We'll get there when we can get there. I mean, that's the sad thing. Everything is zoned a certain way. But here's one thing I was thinking, though. She calls the police. The guy is obviously out of his mind or he's upset or whatever. He's a black man doing that. If I was the person that had to make the call, and I was the only one that had a phone call, I would be kind of slow to make that phone call because, number one, calling the police in a situation like that against a black man, he could be shot like a wild dog. Shot down just like a wild dog. It's obvious the man was upset. He didn't care what the cars he was hitting, anything like that. And I'm not saying I wouldn't call, but that would be the first thing that would come to my mind. Like, if I call, this man might be killed. You know what I mean? You got to think about, your community preservation. Is it worth this man getting killed, or is it worth it just to let him go on and, self-destruct, all kinds of other things? And another thing is, I got to say this, and I understand the population situation and everything, but this is another reason why you should not park your cars on the street. I mean, if you have a garage, please take your kids' furniture and stuff out of there and put your car in there where you don't have to worry about situations like that. Does everybody need a car in your family? Everybody does their own thing, but when you do park on the street, you do take your chances. But if you're going to do that, make sure you have insurance. So it's it's really no big deal. But to me, that's another glowing example of why you should pull your car into your driveway and into your garage, either or. That way it's on your property. But again, The man is upset. That's no excuse to destroy property and destroy your ex-wife's things. You could go back and rebuild. I mean, for all we know, there's somebody was in that room. He doesn't know who's going on in that car. How many times in LA do we hear about random shootings and then the child gets hit that wasn't, planned to be hit? So either this man was obviously out of his mind and was not thinking about, things, because like I said, you might want to hurt your ex-spouse, but what if there was children in there and you ended up hurting them and killing them? But again, when something like that is going on, I have no doubt police would come there, guns a-blazing, no questions asked.
Whew. I want to address something you said, brother, about him could have been killed. Honestly, am I supposed to care more about you being killed? Or are you supposed to care more about you being killed? Now, I'm not talking about, just some little argument, somebody calling the police. That was the equivalent of watching a bull in a china shop, what he was doing there. And so who's to know, other than, I guess, his soon-to-be ex-wife, what kind of fool that is? You run a rough shot there. We've been to LA, especially South Central. Those streets are tiny. Yeah, I'm surprised they even got the damn truck up and down the street. But it's not my responsibility to try to calculate just what kind of fool you are. I'm going to take you at your word. One thing I've learned from the older people is don't you play with crazy. Don't try to estimate just how crazy. Is he crazy? Is he crazy? That's not my job. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call the po-po, because for one thing, I don't know what's in the back of that truck. What if it's a bunch of dynamite in there? You just, obviously he didn't care. See, because I get blind theory, or they call it tunnel vision, or, whatever. But his blind theory was leaving everybody else injured, because he wasn't just tearing up his wife's house. He was tearing up other people's cars. He just didn't care, right? What if somebody's baby or child was riding a bike? Like, there's a lot of variables here. And so to wonder about his safety, I personally wouldn't have gave a damn about that man's safety, because there's so many other things that we should have worried about in regards to that man. And as far as the cars on the street, if I had 20 cars on the street, I never in a million years would expect anything like that to happen to me. That would have been considered bizarre. Like, man, this man is rolling down here with a dump truck and he's trying to tear up his wife's house. And, I get it. You're mad. I've been mad before. Now, the other thing I've learned from my father, because I actually had, y'all, I'm telling you, I got stories for days for y'all. I had a boyfriend when I was in my late 20s. Broke up with him. He didn't want to be broken up with. Now, he was also one of the ones that, like to try to get physical with me. So I was like, hey, you know what? We just need to go our separate ways. And he didn't want that. So he would try to just pop up on me and do all kind of crazy stuff, right? Well, one day as I was getting off work, I came home and he came in right behind me. I didn't even see the dude, right? And he's like, I'm coming to get my mail. I'm like, dude, you can't call first? Not even really thinking a lot of it, right? So he shoves me in the house. He tries to close the door, but it didn't close all the way. So then he shoves me on the couch and he tried to, y'all know what he tried to do. So I made something up. I was like, my brother's coming. My brother's coming over here any minute. I meet my brother. So finally he snapped out of it and he got up and he left. So I called my father, which is, what most women should do, I think. I called my father. Told him what happened. My dad said, give me every number you know. Give me his mama, his sister, I want everybody's number. So first he called him. He didn't answer the phone. Then he called his mama and said, your son got 30 minutes to call me. If he don't, I'm going to be down there and I ain't coming alone and he ain't going to like what I bring. So he called his sister. Says, your brother got 30 minutes to call me back. Otherwise, it's going to be some problems. So he called him back and he said, let me tell you something. He says, if she don't want you, I don't want you. If she don't want to be with you, then that's it. And you know what my dad told him? He said, she ain't all that. He said, go get you somebody who want to be with you. He says, but what you will not do is harm my daughter. And if she ever calls me again and tell me that you as so much as said anything adverse or looked at her crazy, he says, I'm not going to warn you next time. And guess what? I never heard or saw him again. In fact, I saw him at a Jiffy Lube years and years later. He was cool and everything, obviously. But the point that I'm making is, if somebody don't want you, let it burn. I can't believe it. Oh, I'm going to miss him. Let it burn. Let it do what it's got to do. And then you keep it pushing. Because I'll tell y'all another story. I know somebody who is doing a life sentence right now because they were physically abusive with their wife. We didn't know about it at all. Physically abusive with their wife. One day, I kid y'all not, I was at work early in the morning and it came on the news, but it didn't really dawn on me that this person, So get home, my dad calls me. He tells me the story. Now, what happened was he unfortunately drowned both of his children in a bathtub because the mother would not come back to him after he spent most of the relationship beating her up. Now, this was kind of a huge story. It ended up on Montel and all of that. And, he says, well, if you don't come back to me, I'll make you sorry for the rest of your life. And that's what he did to her. And so I say all of those things is because if somebody is going through a situation, listen, I've been through a breakup and it hurt like hell that somebody didn't want you anymore. It hurt, but you have to say, okay, we're not together. That person don't want me. I need to do what I need to do to keep it pushing. I need to get my mental health back together. I need to, become as whole of a person as possible, but let it go as best you can. Again, ask yourself, what is it going to cost me if I come unglued to where I do something I cannot walk back? Because this lady in LA, I'm sure she'll be traumatized. Even though she doesn't sound like she was harmed physically, that's traumatic to have your soon-to-be ex-husband doing that to you, and all the neighbors are watching, and you probably thinking he's going to try to kill, you know what I mean? So they don't want you. Let it go. Let it burn and keep it pushing. So that's the best I could put it.
You know what? I agree with you, okay? But sometimes you just can't let it go. I refuse to give up on your sister. I might be 80 or 90 years old, but you know what? She's gonna, her mind's gonna switch. She's gonna be old and dragging. Gravity's gonna do like that. But you know what? I'm gonna have her one day. One day she's gonna.
Hey, brother, keep hope alive.
Yes,
keep
exactly.
Hope alive.
Exactly. She's gonna come to her senses, and then it is what it is. But no, I agree hardly. I've been joking. But wholeheartedly, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just got to let stuff go. But, here's the thing, which really kills me about people like this. We have 8 billion people on the planet and counting. They act like this is the only woman they can ever get, or, whatever you lose, whatever you built up, even if you built it up with another spouse, and you lose it all, don't you have the wherewithal and the mindset and the experience to rebuild again? That's what kills me when you see these people just lose it and they just risk their freedom and all this other stuff, when it's like, hey, you know what? You're going to take half my stuff? Go ahead and take half of it. Oh, you're going to take all of it? Go ahead and take all of it, because guess what? I can go out and I can rebuild again. But when you take a life, there is no coming back from that. That person is gone forever. I'm not saying this person in that case did that, but it just amazes me how people, and I tell this to people all the time when they have self-doubt about themselves, always bet on black. Always bet on black. And when I say that, I mean always bet on yourself. It's incredible how people do not want to take risks on themselves and say, I can do this. I can do whatever. There were so many people in the military telling me the odds against me doing what I did in the military was insurmountable, but I bet on myself. I was willing to sell my firstborn son to do whatever it is I needed to do in the military. That's the mindset you have to have. I didn't literally do it. And to lose your mind because this person is no longer in your life. There's 8 billion people out there. There's more women in the world than there are men. So fellas, do you know what that means? You might be able to swing 2 and 3 women because of lack of men in the world. You know what I'm saying? So it isn't that serious. If you're a smart man and you built something up with your partner, you could build something up with another partner.
And I want to say this too. I mean, I think the problem comes in because I'm, just really thinking about the situation in its totality. And I don't know any one of those people, but I've been on the receiving end of somebody breaking up with me. I've been on that end, and it's tough because a lot of times when you're broken up with, you might not have seen it coming. You know what I mean? And it's tough to get your head around that. So when I think about that, and I think about some of the situations I've been in, I think about how a lot of times we have an addiction to people. We never think about addiction to people. We think about addiction to drugs, food, and sex, or whatever the case is, but we never think about addiction to people. And so what I mean by that is sometimes we're in a relationship, that person, and I talk about this a lot, we make them our God to where we worship them. I just love you so much. We say things like, I can never see myself without you. You're my everything. Oh, I would just die without you. We have
Amanda, are you listening to this? No, go ahead.
We'd hear all of these songs. I die without you. So you have all of these things to reaffirm our addiction to people. And we have to be careful of the things that we say, because eventually those things manifest. So we say, you're my everything. So break that down just briefly. When you say somebody is your everything, what about you? You're not nothing to you. There's nothing else that makes you you. There's nothing else that makes you wake up every day and happy. You know what I mean? It's like, think about, and it's weird that I have to keep taking a deep breath because I'm kind of still talking myself through a lot of stuff. So, but think about how you feel when you get that text or that call from your significant other or whatever, especially when you're on the beginning stages. It's like, oh, my day is going to be great now. It's like, didn't you wait? If they never text you or they never called you, would you not have a great day? So a lot of times we don't make people happiness enhancement. We make them the reason we are happy. If you didn't call me, oh, I may have a bad day. I don't understand why they didn't call me. Why they didn't call me? I didn't get a text. They didn't text me right back. And your whole day is just in spiral instead of saying, maybe they're busy, or maybe they don't want to text me back. Like that's gangster level of self-love when you are able to be in a relationship with somebody and say, baby, I love you, but I love me too. And if you were to leave me, you cheat on me, and just disappeared about my life, I'm going to be hurt. But guess what? Now, this is where we got to follow the breadcrumbs. You ain't going to take everything from me because you are not my everything. And for me to not making you my everything, that don't mean I don't love you. It just means that I'm saving something for me too. And God rest my mama's soul. She used to always say, set your expectations low when it comes to people. But unfortunately, we get that messed up because we got puppy love. Oh, I love him. Oh, I would never think that way of him. You know what? As much as I love you and I'll never think you would do anything like that to me, I'm going to keep my expectations low about you. While I expect for you not to cheat on me or do anything that would hurt me, you may do it. So I got to keep that in my mind. Not that I'm thinking about it all the time, but that way when it manifests itself, because listen, what one thing people going to do is be people. Humans are going to be humans, and humans are not without fail. So when we think about love, we got to really examine love. Love means it goes both ways. I'm not going to be giving you everything. The other thing I want to say, and finally with my diatribe here, is we do not own people. As much as say, you belong to me. No, you don't. I know Michael McDonald and all of them talking about you belong. Listen, in theory, it's cute. You my everything. You belong to me. It's cute. You don't belong to me. You belong to you. Okay? I love what Nipsey said to Lauren. We experience people. I may not experience you for a lifetime. I may only get to experience you for 2 years, 30 days, or whatever the case is, but we don't own people. I think when we get that out of our heads, that we have an ownership over the people. Even if I got a ring on my finger, that's my ring finger, y'all. I got a ring on my finger. That don't mean I own you and you own me. It just means that we've committed to each other and we would be together, but that doesn't denote ownership.
Agreed.
All right, so I hope that helps somebody, because it's love is a strange thing, and y'all know I'm single. You know, wasn't my choice to be single, but I'm single, and it's scary. It's scary to be single, because it's scary to think about being in a relationship with somebody else who may potentially do that to you or hurt you or whatever the case is again. But I also want to tell y'all, because a lot of times us as single people, we get a lot of pressure on us. Oh, you got to get out there. I can't tell you, even this guy here has told me, go, you got to get out. Nobody's going to find you in the house. So a lot of times we get that pressure to get out there and be single and mingle and go find somebody you can hook up with. I'm telling y'all, as single people, to another single person who may be feeling that pressure, it's okay. What's for you is for you. Those of y'all who follow the Bible, it says that what's for you is for you. There's nothing you have to do. Get yourself together. Y'all see me. I'll be in the gym every day, getting my sexy back. I'm getting my teeth fixed. Not that matters, but I'm getting myself together. So when our relationship does come, I'm going to be the best me for me, not for that person, which is nice, right? Because they get to experience me. But I'm being the best person for me. And so single people don't feel the pressure to get out there, because what happens is you end up in the same situation that you was in before, because you rushed into something when you should have just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to watch the birds fly by, listen to them chirp, listen to the wind in the trees, and just be my sexy self until further notice.
You always remind us. I keep forgetting you have braces, because I really can't tell, but anyway.
It's on the bottom row.
Yeah, I know that. But that's what I'm saying. I still can't. I'd be like, okay, whatever. But yeah, okay. I get it.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's get to this game. Donovan, you ready? I'm shuffling the cards. All right, here we go.
Those cards are loaded, but go ahead.
They're not actually. How do you tend to your mental health?
Repeat one more time.
How do you tend to your mental health?
Okay, this is what I think. And a lot of people don't, I'm going to make this as short as possible. How I do it is I exercise my mind. What I mean by exercise my mind, I kind of do what you do. I read books. I play strategy games like chess, the board life, Monopoly, things like that. Because just like going to the gym, as you know, Demetra, when you don't go to the gym, your muscles don't tone, and you don't get that look you need. But a lot of people forget your mind is a muscle too, and it's got to be exercised, and things like that. And that also, at my age, staves off dementia and psychosis as you get a little older, because you're doing that. So for me to keep my mental health going, if my mind is constantly being exercised and I'm thinking about things and going, I don't have time to think about the things that really make me sad, because I've got so many things going through my brain.
I love it. And me too. Exercise. I'm now doing this thing called 75 hard, which means you work out twice a day, 45 minutes each time. There's things you don't eat, things you don't drink, like alcohol, things like that. Plus, you got to make sure you get enough water intake, and you have to read at least 10 pages a day, which I plan to read more than that. So I'm doing that. I really want to get in my best physical shape possible. So I do work out quite a bit. I also have abstained from social media as much as possible, because whether we realize it or not, social media is not really good for our health. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of trauma, drama, just a lot going on that, believe it or not, it inculcates your everything, your brain, your emotions, everything. And a lot of times it gives us this false sense of everything, right? Social media. That's why I tell you all the time, internet is not real. It's contrived of things people want you to believe. So I really am not on there much doing what I do as far as a content creator. I have to be on there to find stories, but that I try to limit it to that, and it's working out really good. I also, like you, Donovan, I like to read. And there's some days I like to do nothing. I like to just do absolutely nothing. And I love going for a walk in nature. I love being one with nature. So those are the things that I do. And I also try to keep off negative conversations. I don't hang around negative people, which is why, Donovan always tells me to get out. And I always tell him no, because I don't like hanging around everybody. We might be cool on the phone or a text or whatever, but I'm not going to surround myself with everybody, because everybody is not worthy of keeping company with me, especially since I'm trying to be positive and I ain't on that nonsense and all of that. So I limit my company and the conversations that I have, and I listen to good music. So I'm trying to take it back to the analog world, if you will, where before the social media was going on and all of this influence. I'm trying to get back there, like the days of the Quakers, our ancestors or whatever. Not that our ancestors are the Quakers, but our ancestors back in Africa, we ain't had all of that, right? We just had each other and nature. So
but isn't it funny when I was telling you earlier before we got on the show that I'm putting all my 80s movies and stuff like that, because I want to go back to a simpler time and always think about, like you, if people don't notice, I'm not on social media as much as I used to be, in regards to, like, other than my friends and family. Other than that, I just kind of look and I pop in. But like you, I pulled away from social media, especially on the weekends. And I go back to the 80s movies and things that made me feel good when I was more of an innocent person. I don't have to think about what's going on in the world today. So I'm with you 100%.
Just unplug every once in a while. I promise you ain't missing nothing. You're going to be all right. Just unplug. Get back in one with nature, right? All right. So the next one is, what are your views? Oh Lord, what are your views on monogamy? What are your views on monogamy? Would you prefer to live a different lifestyle? Explain your answer.
Monogamy. That's multiple women, right? Or multiple people, right?
Oh no, monogamy is when you're with one person.
One person, yeah.
Would you want to be with a different lifestyle?
Well, okay. This is what I believe, because I've traveled the world and stuff like that, and I have nothing against polygamy. I have nothing against it, because if you really think about it, a lot of women and men in the United States are sleeping with each other, even though they're not married. You have multiple babies with, multiple guys, or whatever you're doing. You got the friends with benefits. There's all kinds of crap going on. I don't necessarily down polygamy, but there's a lot of confusion with that, and with the modern world, I wouldn't do it. So for me, I need one person that I want to be with, and that will cut down the significant jealousy and the problems that come up in the modern era of bringing in other people into relationships. What's that story where you hear it all the time, where a person have been married for a few years and they want to spice up the marriage, and then they open up the marriage and another person comes in? There's even movies made on it. And all kinds of crap hits the fan. So I'm a big player on having one spouse and living your life by yourself. And I'm a big advocate for a lot of our young people, especially our women, to not grow old by yourselves. You can go on all the girls' trips you want, all this other stuff. Tarjari, what's her name, Henson?
You messed her name up so bad I can't even think of
Taraji P. Henson. She was recently on a show, and she was trying to explain it's a struggle for her every day. She's got all the success in the world, everything in the world, but you know what? And this is my interpretation of the interview that I saw. What she really wanted was to have a significant other, and she didn't. It seems to me she doesn't have that, and that's what's bringing her a lot of unhappiness, from what I saw. So I'm really big on monogamy, and I think that people would be a lot better off if they would settle down to a good choice.
Sometimes the same thing that bring you pleasure, bring you pain too. And from what I understand with Taraji, from what I understand, quote me, last relationship she was in. It sounded like there was some infidelity there. So I say that to say, well, let me answer the question first. What are your views on monogamy? I would like to be monogamous. I'm monogamous, but it doesn't seem like the people that I've been with want to be that, right? So I am for monogamy. I am not the sharing type of woman. I don't want to share my man with another woman. And I've made that clear with every man that I've been with. Listen, baby, me and you, just us two, I'll never do that. So I love it. I love monogamy. Would I prefer to live a different lifestyle? No. No, because I'm with you. I can only handle one. I wouldn't want to be with a whole bunch of. I just learned the term Eiffel Tower the other day. I was like, what? But no, I would not want to be Eiffel Towered or none of that kind of stuff. I want to be with one man, and I want that one man to be with me. And I've said this before, and I've gone on record, and I'll say it again, that if I cannot have that in a relationship, I am good all by myself. I will have to be, because for one, I don't want, and all the times that I've been in relationships I've been cheated on, I thank the Lord Almighty that I'm not on cell block H behind taking somebody out for giving me something. You know what I mean? Because that I just wow. But with that, like you said, it comes a lot of STDs and a lot of emotions get attached. Like you said, people open up Pandora's box. Well, honey, it's kind of boring. Why don't we invite somebody else into the relationship? Oh, okay, yeah. You come home, they already rolled around the hay talking about, well, we didn't think you mind. It's like, no, that ain't how, And then one day you want to switch up and say, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. Let's just be us two. And they're like, and then they continue to do it. So yes, it's a lot. So no, I would not want to be in anything else other than a monogamous relationship. I made that clear, and I will make that clear with anybody I be with. I do not want to share you with anybody else. It's gross, for one thing. Other things too, and I'm gonna really just put this in the context for people who like to cheat, or people who will cheat or being cheated on, and you stay with somebody who can, like, I could forgive a cheat. I could probably forgive that, but if that's who you are, then think about this. Oftentimes when we think about somebody cheating, we think about they were just, all right, you almost done? Okay. You think about them having mommy sex, right? Like they just, y'all know that when you get in the bed with somebody, rarely is it just 2 minutes of mommy sex. Okay. Mommy, some of y'all heard me use the term before. Mommy sex is she got her arms crossed like this. It's like, are you almost done yet? Okay. Nah, they didn't roll from the bed to the floor to the kitchen to the bathroom. They dropped the eagle down. They got the eagle. They got all of that. They didn't use every orifice. They 3 holers and everything you can think of, right? And then that person, then that person come home to you. Hey, baby, how you doing? Or, hey, honey, how you doing? It's like, I'm good, but what's the smell, though? What's the smell? Did you have fish for lunch? Yeah, I didn't pack you fish in your bag. What's that smell? So you got to think about that. So that's why it's an absolute no for me. It's disgusting, okay? I don't even want people drinking off my cup, let alone licking on my man. I'm just keeping it real. Okay. Next. You ready? All right. Do you consider yourself religious? How important is it that your significant other believes what you do spiritually?
No, I'm not a religious person, but I am a Catholic by belief. I've been raised in the Catholic Church. I'm still a member of the Catholic Church, but I follow Islam as my tenet to keep me disciplined in what I do. I'm a spiritual person. I have a spiritual relationship with God, and I don't deem it very important for me that my spouse or my significant other believes the same way I do, because that's ridiculous. Because in every Bible it says every person will be judged according to their works. So if my woman is out there doing this and doing that, hey, she's going to have to answer to God in her own accord, because I'm out here to save myself and my relationship with God. So what my wife does, whatever. But because I am a Catholic and still a member of the Catholic Church, I do believe in putting some kind of foundation of a religious or spiritual aspect for my children to kind of keep going on and on. Because it seems to me once we took religion or some form of God out of the schools and stuff, man, we've opened a Pandora's box with there. You got to give people some kind of foundation. And if my children grew up and said, I want to I want to follow Judaism, hey, you're free to do that. But without a foundation for them to start with, you just have anarchy. Because I see so many kids now that are out there, and I say, well, what religion do you believe? Oh, I don't go to church. How do you not go to church or some kind of thing in your 7, 8 years old, and you have no foundation of, where you're going to go in the world? Who do you call on when you are in those days of despair, or you need help, or you need prayer, if you don't believe in it? So I'm a very spiritual person, still a Catholic, but I follow the tenets of Islam. And I know that's confusing to a lot of people, but what it is I believe in the discipline of Islam that gives me and keeps me within my parameters. And the Catholic Church doesn't do that for me. Catholic Church, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I could go out there and do all kinds of sinning, come back the next week, sit into the prayer booth and say, Father, forgive me for I've sinned. I get my 12 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys. Then I go back out and do it again. And, and I come back. And that was kind of my understanding of it, where Islam says, no, you shall. There is no gray area to me in Islam.
Absolutely. So, do I consider myself religious? No, I am not religious. I used to be very religious back in the day until I woke up and got a little bit more information. I'm like you. I do subscribe, if you will, to the Nation of Islam, as I was born into the Nation of Islam. My father is a devout Muslim, if you will, since the age of 19. He is 79 now, and so of course. That I would say is my foundation. I study the teachings of Islam right now. I am reading The Fall of America by Elijah Muhammad, which is a very excellent book. I'm mad that I didn't read it a long time ago. Would I be with somebody who does not believe like me? No, I would not. And when I say believe like me, is I will not be with a Christian. Was Christian, for a few years of my life. Would not be that, simply because I know that Christianity has kept us docile as a people. And I know that a lot of Christians, and no shade to anybody who's a Christian, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm speaking from my own personal point of view. I just know that a lot of times it's being a Christian is also to be judgmental, even though the Bible tells you not to be that. It's either my way or the highway. If you do this, you're going to hell, you're going to, all of that other stuff. I'm one of those people. I don't want to say live my life without discipline. I believe in, like you, we should be disciplined, but I do not want to live my life in fear. And I know that person, if they're a Christian, they shouldn't be dating me anyway, because their Bible tells them not to be equally yoked. And they probably going to be frustrated with me because as I am learning in The Fall of America, the messenger, he says, what's strange, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, Black people today are crying over a white man that died 2,000 years ago, but you don't cry over the things that your people going through right now. You know what I mean? So when I read that kind of stuff, I'm like, yeah, which is really true. So no, I could not be with somebody who was a devout something, whether, was definitely I could not be with a Christian or anybody for that. I want you to be free in your thinking. I want you to have some compass, moral compass. I do believe God exists. I want you to at least have that. But as far as if you don't go to church with me, we get a divorce and you going to hell and all that, nah. Get off my bumper. You know what I mean? You ever call somebody and says, Jesus loves you? I don't want to be doing all that. I call you talking about God is great and so are you. I know all of that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, remember that Friday? Good morning. Have you heard about the Lord?
Call the answer, and she was saying, Jesus wept and so will you if you don't leave a message, So anyway, y'all, that is the end of the show. We love and appreciate y'all for going over time with us. I hope that y'all have learned something. I know that I always learn something. Again, do not put up with domestic violence. I know that is easier said than done, but try to find a way, talk to somebody, call a hotline, do whatever you need to do to relieve yourself of that tyranny. Also, somebody does not want you, keep it pushing, let it burn, and, pour more into yourself than you do another human being. We do not own other people at the end of the day, right?
Can I give some people advice out there?
Sure.
We have Wi-Fi cameras inside housing cameras. Okay, make sure if you're in the you're in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with having inside cameras, because I got dogs. I have inside cameras. But guess what? When people know they're being recorded, they kind of, when it comes to violence, they kind of de-escalate a little bit better. So that could kind of help in your relationship. Don't put it in your bedroom unless you're into that stuff. But just try something like that, because the camera doesn't lie. You got two stories: him, her, and a lie. So
I get all that, but baby, let me tell you something. I'm not going to be with you if I got to have a camera on you to make sure you don't do nothing to me. I'm just not going to be with you. You know what I mean? And I'm one of the people, I like to walk through my house with a little bit of clothes on sometimes. So I don't know who's going to hack the camera or whatever, none of that kind of stuff. So the point that I'm making is, yeah, I get it. Some people need cameras in their house, but for me, if I got to do all that to make sure you don't put hands on me, then yeah, we just can't hang out, homie. I'll just keep it real with you. But yeah, but that is good advice for those who don't have that issue. Me, nah, I'm good, But anyway, we love and appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. In case we have ways to help the channel, down here at the bottom, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and all the above. We love and appreciate y'all always. We will see y'all tomorrow live, Wealth Wednesdays with Walter, where I will be dropping the link if you want to come on and give your opinion. We welcome it. So anyway, please have a good rest of your day. See y'all tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central Time.